Someone with Jupiter in Pisces in the natal birth chart is very, very dreamy. Very much concerned with the magical world of what is not material. Jupiter in Pisces says that everything is possible, opening up to endless possibilities, opening up to all the dreamy possibilities of all the reflection of the act of putting on soft music and moving into other worlds and doing all this very, very Piscean thing and Piscean sort of situation to get yourself into. Also, Jupiter in Pisces has wonderful intuition where it can help it guide into the many endeavors of life, into the many arenas of life. And it can use its spiritual healing for service to others and its spiritual abilities to heal. And so those are just some of the qualities that I'm going to be discussing in this podcast episode of the Cosmic Sky podcast with Evercardi. This podcast is about astrology, where I discuss astrology in depth, horoscopes for the week, transits, aspects, all those things, and then also general videos like this. Most of the content here on this podcast is general. So I'm going to now delve into what it means. This is the very, very last of the series of Jupiter through the signs. So then next week, I'm going to be doing Saturn. So I'm going to introduce the meaning of the planet Saturn, what it means. And so I also have a video that I'll post from my original channel on Saturn so that you get the video version and the podcast version, but I'll do it again discussing the planet Saturn before we actually delve into Saturn through each and every sign, which is going to be very, very exciting, and I'm excited to share with you information on what each Saturn placement really means. So, delving into Jupiter in Pisces. So Jupiter in Pisces is a very interesting placement because it doesn't follow anyone else. It sort of veers off in its own direction. Like Pisces is sort of very spacey, like it spaces out. Like Pisces energy is kind of, I have a dream and I'm just sitting and dreaming about it. I'm just reflecting on it. This is very Piscean, where you're going off in a new direction, in your own direction, your own little world, and just doing exactly that into the dream world, into its own world. Like Pisces goes off into its own world. If you've ever seen Anna Green Gables and with an E, and Shirley, I do believe, is a Pisces sun. And as such, she has all these, magical characters and worlds, and is very, very, imaginative, likes to read fiction, likes to, play around and, do all that. Just sort of goes off into her own world and goes into her mind and her imagination, and as a result is not very practical when it comes to the tasks in her daily life, which I'm going to get into later, because she, in one of the episodes of Anne with an E, she was walking on the kitchen table and she was dreaming in her own little world, and then like something that she was supposed to watch for to keep for it not to burn, it burned. Because she was in her own world, she wasn't paying attention to the present moment. This is what you need to do in the present moment. This is the practical reality of what you need to do. And so when Pisces can take the mystical and blend it into the practical and balance these two things out, they can really, really thrive. But when they're just so in their own little world and they ignore all these responsibilities, then that's where they have run into some problems. So more on that later. I'll probably reinforce that later on in the video. But anyway, Jupiter in Pisces is not the type of dreamer that, like you say, has big dreams and goes after the dreams in the world. Like Sagittarius, for example, which Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. And as such, Jupiter in Sagittarius has these big plans and visions and the optimism to want to, let's go to Spain, or, let's, build this big factory, or let's, do all this kind of stuff like that. This big dream of like, let's go out and achieve the dreams, like the confidence to do this. Like, that's not Jupiter in Pisces. It is more of a reflective, internal dreamer. It represents the more internal, more feminine side of Jupiter. It's kind of like the dreams and the visions that we have when we fall asleep. When we're asleep. What happens when we're asleep? We dream. We have all these dreams. For example, I'm going to talk about my dreams because I'm talking about dreams here, so I'm going to tell you what I dreamt last night. So, I dreamt, if you're interested, I dreamt about being, back in 5th grade, and one of the teachers was very, kind of very, very reactive over somebody, like people, my age, like teenagers, and she was treating them like 5th graders, like kids 11, 12 years old. Very quick to say stop talking or whatever, and sometimes it was very disappointed. I remember being with this group of kids, peers, climbing up this ladder, like away from everyone in like a field somewhere, like away from the school, like a distance from the school. And we were climbing up the ladder, and then the teacher was very disappointed in us. Very, very, very disappointed. Just disappointed, not really angry. I was wondering if she was going to be one way or the other, and then immediately I was in the dream and she was like that. And also, part of the dream is, like this is Jupiter in Pisces, like getting caught, like I'm kind of showing you an example of what this means, like getting, swayed away to the different dreams, and I'm going to talk about more about that, but I might as well share because I'm talking, I brought it up. And then I also dreamt about, couple of the things that I can remember. Somebody that I knew in Dance Moms who was born in 1959, but she was apparently 87 years old, and she was very young for her age. Very involved in things in the auditorium, basically telling students to be quiet and try to control everybody, and trying to tell them like something about their comments or what they're talking about becoming stale, like stale cheese or meat or whatever. I don't remember. And then the other thing was my following on YouTube just suddenly grew, like over 1,000 subscribers, and I saw the views go up on the videos. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Woke up, and of course it was just a dream. And, it was just so sad that, the reality of, my following right now, not getting a huge number of followers. Yeah, I'm doing this video regardless. I don't need the followers to feel worthy about myself. I'm doing this video regardless. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. But so anyway, I digress. I digress from that. Like it goes off in its own direction. It veers into its dreams. Like it talks about its dreams, like I just did. So when we have dreams, we are unconscious of those dreams. Like, we're conscious only in the dream. Like our mind sort of plays, around with different settings and different people. And a lot of the dreams are reflective of things that we experience in our own life that we're seeing again. Like all these three things are very, very real life for me of things that I've experienced. They can kind of give you lessons and hidden messages and signs through those dreams. Now, Jupiter in Pisces loves to daydream. Loves to daydream. Loves to just dream about all the, visions and the imagination that it can. And it also experiences a lot of hallucinations, a lot of just seeing things that are beyond what you can taste, touch, hear, see, smell. And so they experience a lot of these kind of things going on. And then it expounds fantasies and nightmares. It expounds these things. It gives a meaning to them. Probably not the most verbal, because Pisces, let's face it, is not the most verbal sign. It doesn't, like spirit does not operate through words and logical language. Spirit operates through pictures, symbols. Like Pisces does not operate through, just by just speaking and overanalyzing it and doing all that, like Jupiter and Virgo, Jupiter and Gemini. Pisces just gives these little sound bites of, words that are from the other realms, and it's very, very vague, and it's not very clear, and so that's them. That's them. They are vague. Like there is a vagueness to Pisces energy, especially Mercury in Pisces. So, they travel into, into their own world. Like, they go into their own world. They want to transcend their hopes and fears, and move to a peaceful, dreamy world. Like all the anxieties that they have, all the fears that they have about the world and their life and what they're doing in their life and what they're really, really meaning for themselves to put into their effort of what they are trying to actually achieve in their life. They can actually say, I'm letting this go, and I'm moving into a peaceful, higher vibrational state where all that fear and all that, all that negativity and all the projection and all the, whatever, all that just goes out the window, where they move into something more peaceful, something more serene. So, no, Jupiter in Pisces does not fit in with the crowd. Let's just, say that it doesn't want to fit in. Like Pisces, if you didn't know, Pisces is just a very, very weird sign. And I mean that in the best of ways. Like Pisces does not feel like it fits in. It doesn't feel normal, because it has all these, because it spaces out, because it has these mystical ideas and doesn't know how to communicate these things in a logical, practical way where everyone can understand it. Communicates it in a, like it's with someone so dreaming and so, illogical, not like here and now with, in-ground reality, so to speak, then, Pisces doesn't feel like it fits in. and it wants to be normal. It's kind of like if you were to put Pisces in a, in a tank or a fishbowl, and then, then they want to desperately try to be normal, but but it's hard for them still. It's just hard for them to fit in. But there's this, like this emotional, not detachment, but this loneliness that can come in with Pisces about not feeling like it fits in. It's like Pisces is that sign where it's like, wanting to fit in, but you're just not like everybody else. Like, it's okay. You don't have to be like everybody else. Like, embrace your quirky self and embrace your dreams and take those dreams and actually do something with them and blend the worlds between the fantasy and the realistic. So, it wants to be imaginative, dreamy self, basically. So, now, if you were to have a conversation with them on a phone, or at a restaurant, or or whatever, whatever it might be, then instead of telling you, like, this is all the stuff that's happened in my life, and this is how it is, and this detail is this, and I messed up because I didn't look very, very carefully where I was going, and I didn't put the right measurement in my recipe, so to speak. They just go on about their fantasies. They tell you about all their dreams and all their fantasies and all their, excursions that they went on in their head. Like, I think a figure that is so Piscean is Tom Ballard in Waiting for God. If you see that British, comedy, like he is a Sagittarius Pisces, Sag Pisces completely. He just has all these fantasies about different worlds and different settings. Like he was a bullfighter, like making up these ridiculous stories about himself. Like, I was a bullfighter, I was a photographer, I met Peggy Sue on the beach. Like, all these things that don't make sense at all. Like, like that's them. They tell you things that, like, it doesn't make logical sense, but that's just their nature. Like, instead of telling you about their life, they tell you about all the dreams they've had. They speak in dreams. And not only this, but they also connect with you through talking to you about your dreams. Like, how they do this is that they like, if you have a dream and you're sharing your dream of what you dreamt about and you did all of this, then basically you have a conversation where you're exchanging dreams with one another. What you're sharing your dream, the other sharing their dream. And Pisces has a lot of empathy for those who want to share their dreams. Like, Pisces has a lot of understanding and openness to people when they share their dreams. Like, they're very, very receptive to this. They may be mystical and socially awkward. This is part of them as well, where they're really, really there's like a social awkwardness to them. When it comes to them being mystical, like, the mystical apparently is not appropriate for the real world, for the real, practical, realities of the world, and for the day-to-day, routine, realistic life that we have to live. Like, it's not appropriate socially to be all fantasy, all dreams, all this, all that. Where it just, is, talking to somebody and giving all these mystical truths to them about the relationship and, whatever these mystical truths are. And they may be very, very caught up in the romance of it. Like Pisces is a very, very romantic sign, like very imaginative in terms of, relationships. Like, there was a love for romance that Anne Shirley had in the Anne of Green Gables, like how she was into all those kind of things like that. And fantasy of all that you lose touch with in this present reality. So, you're just very, very, in the romance of it, in the fantasy of it. And they're so swept up in this. We get so swept up in these moments, in these fantasies, in these illusions, that they lose touch with this present reality. They lose connection with it. Another thing is, they want to make you comfortable. Like they genuinely, want to make you comfortable in their presence. They're all about creating comfort for you, because what does Pisces do? It wants to create a soft environment. That's what it wants to do. It wants to create softness, quietness, peace. It wants to create all these kind of things like that. Where you can have moments of intimacy with them. Pisces is very, very quiet sign, and it wants to create moments of intimacy with others, basically. Like that's what it wants to do, is create moments of intimacy with others, making room for everything and everyone. Really, like they make space in their heart for everyone and everything to be very intimate with them, so then they can really, really get to know them on a soul level, because Pisces wants to tap into your soul self, into your spiritual self. It wants to see you for who you truly are, and it has such compassion, such appreciation for you as you being your soul self, basically. In Jupiter in Pisces says everything is possible. You can dream about anything. The sky is the limit. Like your dreams have no limits. Like it wants to go beyond the boundaries, like push beyond the boundaries of this day-to-day realities and the structures and the whatever. Everything is possible, even the impossible. That's a quote from Mary Poppins Returns. And she said that, where then she went into the the Royal Doulton Bowl, and then created a music hall, and did whatever. And she, if you've seen Mary Poppins Returns and Mary Poppins, my favorite movie of all time. Just saying. Anyway, they it's a classic for a reason. So they may have ways of connection. They may have ways of connecting you, or connecting themselves, like ways of connecting to the mystical world that go beyond what is material, that go beyond what is superficial. That's what they're all about. Want to go into something deeper, something more spiritual, like that kind of thing. And then connecting with the, and then they may also, another thing is that they're very, very, okay, so they tap into the mystical world And when you're tapping into the mystical world, you're not using words. You're not using language and all this. You're using symbols, and you're communicating in a very, very in a very non-material kind of way, and it goes beyond what is just what is in the it communicates with the the trees and the animals that exist in the world in a very, very mystical way. Like it communicates with them in a mystical way. Or it doesn't use just language to speak to them. Like, how can we communicate with animals? There's no way of communicating with animals unless we really, really tap into their energy and into their spirit, and we connect with them in non-material ways. This is where they, connect. This is how they connect. They may do mystical things for just no reason. Like, they may just do these really, really weird things and then it's like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm just doing it. I don't know why I'm, suddenly saying that I went to Chronicles of Narnia and met the North Witch, whatever. I don't know why I moonwalked back. I don't know why I romanticized being on a date with Michael Jordan. It's like they just don't have reasons for doing all these things. Like, there is no reason for what they're doing. They just do it. Jupiter in Pisces is the more hidden aspect of Jupiter. Comes to us when we're sleeping. Like, we experience dreams and hallucinations. Like, Pisces is the dreamy energy. We experience this when we're sleeping. Where there is, no socially acceptable way to practice magic. Okay, so what I mean by this is that practicing magic is not social normal. I don't want to use socially acceptable, but it's just not normal. It's just like magic, apparently. Well, there is the magic that exists and the magic that does not exist. Like, in Harry Potter and just said magic and, whatever that doesn't exist. But there is spiritual magic. There is magic all around us in terms of our higher power, of synchronicities, of our infinite potential, of the magic of us, like, all of that. But practicing magic, practicing witchery, and all those kind of things, like, that is not, apparently that is not socially normal, and they want to do that. They want to break away from the limitations of not being allowed to do that, not being, giving others giving them permission to do it. So, what they want to do is they want to, they seek being in solitude. Like, they value their quiet time very, very well. They want to, what they want to do is they want to move away from all the noise of society. Like all the noise and the hustle and bustle and the busyness and everybody moving around with their, with their, luggages and, whatever. And the normal society, conditions you into saying that you can't do things that are magical. It's just, like, we're so left-brained. We have to get out of the left brain. We have to balance this out with the right brain. And Pisces is a right-brained energy. So, there you go, of, imagination, intuition. Now, they may tune into the vibrations and emotions of others very, very easily. They may very, very easily tune into this, where they're really, really tapped into what others are experiencing, others' feelings, and it's not a socially appropriate place for magic, where those settings are. So, it's not like they just wake up one day and they say, oh, this is just a magical thing and this exists. No, they have to actually have an experience where this weird, coincidental, really, really bizarre thing happened to me. And then it becomes real to them. Like they make meaning, like this one thing that is magical. It's kind of like the personality that believes in, ghosts or aliens or fairies or whatever, and spirits and and from the dead, whatever kind of things like that. Like they have to have these magical experiences to form these conclusions. So where they know all this magic because they have these experiences that where they have this experience like these experiences like, oh, this happens, therefore this must be real. And a lot of the times it's outside of their control, like they can't control it, it just happens to them. And then the saying "life is but a dream." There's a song with Christy Vaughan, I think her name is, where she does on YouTube the 12 signs, the songs for each of the 12 signs of the zodiac. And for Pisces, it's life is but a dream. It's like that's what Pisces is like. That's how they want to live. And it's about being in the mystery. Being in the uncertainty of like Pisces. In Pisces energy, we are uncertain of the future. Virgo energy, we want structure, we want certainty. Things are very, very logical. Things are very, very mapped out for us. But in Pisces energy, it is no. It is magical. It is, we can't control spirit. We can't control, God or source or the divine or the powers that are greater than us to, of what they're going to do next and what's going to happen in our life next. Like, we don't know. And Pisces is about like being in the mystery of like, I don't know. I'm kind of flowing through this and I'm going through the flow and I'm trusting my intuition as I'm going through this in my life of not knowing, what will happen next. The uncharted places, like being willing to go into those uncertain places where you just don't know. You just want to sit and dream. So then, also, Jupiter in Pisces is a very, very compassionate placement. It is all about compassion. Like Pisces is a sign of compassion, genuine, compassion, and it's very, very intuitive. Really, really an intuitive placement where it's very, very connected to its intuition. And Jupiter in Pisces really, really values both what is material, like the material things, like we have to have both a sense of material abundance about ourselves with the food and the material possessions that we have in terms of our house or our bookshelf or whatever. Like we have to have both the material and the immaterial abundance at the same time. Like we have to have both of these things working in tandem. We have, it's about understanding, feeling abundant, not just because of the the material things in our lives, but also feeling a sense of abundance inside of ourselves. Like, you could have nothing at all. You could, be scrapped and not having, your house, your life together, your material life. Yeah, you could feel so rich inside because you know yourself. Like you're secure inside yourself. You tapped into your higher power. You're tapped into your higher self. Your self-worth is up. So, inner abundance Like gratitude is not based off of the material world, and gratitude isn't something that you should preach to others. It is a feeling. It is something that we experience as a spiritual feeling of satisfaction, of peace, of feeling good, like a warm, good, positive, high vibrational energy. That's what gratitude is. And so I made a podcast on my, an episode on my Real Me podcast about gratitude. Or I was talking about that. And so, inner abundance, like having a spiritually meaningful, filled life. We have to have both here. And then, they have a lot of spiritual and creative gifts. And these people are born with a lot of gifts that come into play here where, the spiritual, you're like, how can you serve others with your spiritual gifts? Well, we have all these spiritual gifts, but how can we serve others? How can others benefit from all of these gifts, that we have? Like how can others benefit from this? This is all very, very big importance. How can we serve others in this way? And then Jupiter in Pisces is about transcendence and the oneness of all that is. In Pisces energy, we are all one. There's no separation. We're all interconnected with each other. So connecting with something much greater than yourself. Like Pisces is a very, very humble energy. It's not me, I, not ego. It is, I am, I am choosing to tap into the field, tap into the whole, and connecting with something much greater than who I am, as just the light that's suction cupped onto the end of my nose, the light that's me and my daily life and my my schedule, my role, my job or whatever. Like it's connecting to something much greater than who you are. And Pisces just wants to just merge and just flow and just dissolve into that. And so it has a lot of spiritual, like displacement is very much considered upon having spiritual growth, spiritual and emotional growth. Like these, with not so much like material growth, but it's both of these kind of things. And Jupiter in Pisces is deeply sensitive to the environment around it. Like Pisces energy is a very, very sensitive energy to the whole environment and the vibrations and the emotions of an environment, where I was talking about deeply feeling the vibrations of people. And so does this environment serve your expansion? Does this environment help you to expand into a a broader, more evolved version of yourself? Is it keeping you small? Is it keeping you stuck in others' problems and others, vibrations or whatever? Or is it helping you to expand and grow and be your sovereign self while merging with others? So that's the question you can ask yourself. They have a healing presence, and they can really, really use this just by being. Like Pisces doesn't do and serve like Virgo does. It just is. It just serves by just being as opposed to doing. So, it has a healing presence to it, where it can be very, very like I have healing into me. And so it has that. It can develop its intuitive abilities very, very strongly. It has a lot of intuitive skills. It can develop that. And then allowing your intuition and inner guidance system to guide you to the best possible outcome. Like Pisces is a very, very intuitive sign. It's connected to its intuition. That part of you that just, that just knows. There's actually a clip that's coming out on my YouTube channel on April 13th. And that clip is about intuition and not being tuned into your intuition, from my video about privacy that I did on my Real Me podcast. So So it's about, allowing your intuition and your guidance system to guide you to the best possible outcome. Like, your intuition will never lead you astray, will always lead you to the best outcome. And I am not an expert on intuition. I do know a fair amount about it, but go to Eckhart Tolle or Sonia Choquette, or one of those people to look at intuition very, very strongly. You can serve collective, you can serve healing and growth. Like, you can use your healing abilities to serve the world. How can you, like, giving a spiritual wisdom? Like, you have so much spiritual wisdom about life, like all these spiritual truths that that are very, very reflective and very compassionate. Like, you can use this to serve others. You can follow your intuition instead of logic. Like, Pisces goes off of intuition and Virgo goes off of logic. So following your intuition, and what your inner self, like, intuition doesn't communicate through words and ideas. You don't think your intuition. It's just, I'm breathing, I'm tapping in, I have a feeling, and I'm not overanalyzing it. I just have a feeling, and this is what it is, and I'm just going to trust it and go with it, and just surrender the need for it to be right, for it to be accurate, because that's when we can get into our head and overthink it. Is like, we may be uncertain about it. Like, we're uncertain. Like, is this my intuition? Am I really feeling this feeling? Like, just go with it. just go with it, because it may very well be right. So it's like, it's so easy to overthink intuition. It's not a thinking thing. It's a feeling dropping in thing. That's an immediate thing that we get. It just tells us, like, this is, what to do, and we have the free will over if we're going to follow it or not. So, and we can work with our spiritual and emotional energies that others find overwhelming to us. Where we can work with, all these energies, very, very easily, okay. So, working with, yeah. So, others may not understand you. Others may not understand how you work in terms of how you spiritually work in your emotions. But it's about, not being willing to, being willing to be yourself. Be your imaginative, quirky self. So, very, very important here is boundaries. Drawing boundaries when you feel overwhelmed or drained by others, like emotionally, physically exhausted. Like, when you feel overwhelmed, with, your empathy, like your sense of, empathy about life in general, then others, issue, like, you take on others' issues. Others' issues becomes what you value and not, yourself, when you don't draw those healthy boundaries, like, knowing where you end and others begin. Like, this is, their side of the street, and this is my side of the street. Well, like Pisces needs to learn about boundaries. Like, you can't just, merge into anything at all. Like in life, there are boundaries and there are limits. And so that is a huge lesson that Pisces can learn through Virgo energy. And so, escapism. Really just, doing things, you're not falling into avoiding your problems or not taking responsibility for your life, but just art, music, painting, whatever you use to escape into the other worlds and to, getting out of your present day to reality to help your mental, emotional well-being. And then, as I said before, like, being willing to take the practical action instead of avoiding responsibilities. This is a Pisces South Node, Virgo North Node thing, like taking responsibility for your life and making the dream real. And how you can do that is by paying attention to details, paying attention to your responsibilities. So if you're interested in that Virgo North Node video, it is long and it is probably the deepest thing on Virgo North Node that you'll ever find, probably out there. I went into so much depth, and there's so much pearls of knowledge in there if you want to check that out on this podcast. Anyway, that is all I have on Jupiter in Pisces. This is 44 minutes, not as long as I thought that it probably would be. So that's good. And so I hope that you enjoyed this podcast. Follow this podcast if you're on Spotify. Just know that if you watch previous episodes, I do list the name that is not this podcast. I do list my past name, which is the vastness of Google. I do mention that because that was the name I gave this podcast before, but I'm not going to take those episodes down. Like, this is a, perfectionistic thing that I don't want to experience. Like, I have impurified and I have tainted so many things in my life. Like, don't expect yourself to have the same thing all throughout. Like, it's okay to change it. like if you take away what you did then you're denying, like, this is who I was then. Like leave it as is. Like, that's part of who you are. Like, you're meant to grow and evolve and change. You're not meant to stay the same. So if you change your whole concept of your podcast or whatever, then great. But leave everything there. Leave the past there. Don't get rid of it. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to get over the guilt that I have for that and, work through that. And, just be okay with it. And anyway, that's all that I have on this podcast. Tune in for tomorrow. I want to talk about goals, ambition, and I want to talk about self-respect in tomorrow's podcast because I want to talk about Capricorn North Node. I want to do a video on Capricorn North Node tomorrow. I will not be posting a video on Sunday or Monday. Sunday is Easter, and I want to celebrate that with my family, and Monday is my birthday, so I'm going to be celebrating that. So I'll take those days off, and then April 7th I will get back to posting more videos, on different placements, and maybe continuing to do, maybe doing my Saturn in Cancer or Uranus in Pisces or something like that. I want to talk about my Uranus in Pisces, because I've had thoughts about that, and I want to really go in depth about that. And continue to do the nodal placements because I'm really, really interested, and I really enjoy doing the North Node and South Node through the different signs. And so I want to do Capricorn North Node tomorrow, and I have a lot to say about that. That will probably be a very, very deep episode, just a forewarning about that. And anyway, bye for now, everyone. See you in the next episode of the Cosmic Sky Podcast. Take good care.